Hi, my name is Colty, and I do have a story to tell, and I hope you enjoyed this tale. So, I really did not expect so many people to love my My Little Pony Infection AU and want to hear more about it. I did want to say thank you all for the support, and I hope you enjoy this video and my future content. So, this will be part 2 of my AU. Everyone's kind of seeming excited for it because of Rainbow Dash and Twilight. And we're going to be talking about the infected. Everyone seems ready, so let's get into it. And our first one is going to be Rainbow Dash, or the poster child of Fluttershy's cult. And you can probably see I'm drawing her now. One thing I wanted to say, I'm going to use these three to cover all the relationships, lore, and the virus itself. The virus's working name at the moment is Invasia. It is somewhat basic, I know, for the concept of it. But the whole point of the virus is that it strips the infected of their own person, and it is merely just a host of food for the virus. And you'll actually get to finally see what the flower looks like in both Dash and Pinkie's final art. So with Rainbow Dash, she was first infected a bit after the virus began, and Fluttershy couldn't bring herself to allow the other main six or herself to kill Rainbow Dash because that was her childhood friend and someone she's known for a very long time. So, after studying some of Twilight's notes and just observing how the infected looked, she did decide to take out Rainbow Dash's brain because she saw that as the problem area, quote unquote. And if I did mention it in the first video, Fluttershy and Applejack don't talk anymore, and this is the reason why. It has to do with Dash and an extreme fight they had that caused a major blow up between the two. That blow up was the fact that Dash is kept on the property on Fluttershy's side because Sweet Apple Acres has been broken up into two sort of mini colonies, is the best way to put it. And AJ only agreed to this if someone would watch Rainbow Dash when Fluttershy was doing her sermons or just was not completely around her all the time. And the person who was assigned to watch her did not end up watching her, so she was able to pull the metal spike out of the ground that was holding her down and wander into Applejack's side of the property. This then actually endangered Rarity's life because the head pain that Rarity experiences causes her to experience bouts of dissociation and extreme migraines. So she tends to wander off a lot. She usually has a caretaker if it's not AJ, Apple Bloom, or another member of the close-knit that AJ's side has. And also with Rainbow Dash going over to her side, it did cause some of the infection to spread out on her side of the property, infecting both sides now. So the way the virus works is the infected are much like spore carriers or pollen carriers. Each step they took, their body is full of the flower's essence, and it's where roots start to grow into the ground after the infected begins to walk around or stumble around is the best way to put it. And the flowers begin to use this network of roots to travel between living organisms as they begin to wither and die. Because the whole point is they're trying to keep themselves alive. So they kind of work in a hive mind system is the best way to put it. Overall, though, it's pretty obvious that Rainbow Dash is missing her head because of it. And if you did want to save a family member or save a loved one, you would most likely have to go to Fluttershy or even talk to Fluttershy, and she would suggest removing the brain. And overall, just Rainbow Dash is nowhere near who she used to be. And another reason that Applejack and Fluttershy fought and are just fighting in general is because Applejack sees this as a very inhumane concept of living, because it's keeping someone who was already technically dead alive, even though it's very obvious that they're not there anymore. And with that, I wanted to move on to patient zero of this AU, which is Pinkie Pie. And it is ironic because Pinkie Pie is someone I actually hold close to my heart. I kin her and I love her. And it's weird that I made her the patient zero, and I'm thinking that's the way I express my love. And I do notice I tend to make characters I love or like more so morally gray or evil or just victims of something. I don't know what that says about my trauma, but anyways, so if you did see on my Instagram, Applejack's reference sheet, the virus has been going on for 5 years, and it would be quite obvious that Pinkie Pie isn't decayed enough, and I kind of realized I don't really tend to do gory horror art. I tend to do horror art that fixates on things that make me genuinely uncomfortable, which at this moment is body distortion and joints being turned in ways that they're clearly not supposed to be. And I also just see her as being chubby in any universe I create her in, or just in general. So the virus technically does have a lot to feed on. So, and the virus doesn't feed every single day. It feeds when it needs to. So it has a lifetime, it has a longer supply with Pinkie Pie because of her weight. And that's not an insult to chubby people coming from a chubby person myself. She did get infected by helping Twilight test out the Invasia flower, because Twilight does discover the Invasia. And I would see Pinkie being the most okay with helping her friends out in that regard, based on context of the show and just how I personally see her. And Twilight ended up making a serum of Invasia, seeing that it didn't react well to anything else. So after she consumed the Invasia serum, she started to wander around the Everfree a lot more, and her personality started to drift and shift a lot. She began to actually resemble Maud Pie, where she was extremely quiet, or she was just extremely monotone. Not any insult to Maud, I love her. But she then began to just go out into the Everfree for long periods of time before she completely disappeared. And before she disappeared, when she did come back, there were sprouts following her. That means the virus has taken effect. After the sprouts happened, her leg began to twist backwards, and then her other leg, and then her spine. But it was more so something you could say, oh, she injured herself or something happened. But after she disappeared, that's when her head started to twist with her spine and then become this head mass that you see in the final image. Overall, the way the virus pipeline works is memory begins to fade and personality begins to shift. And then sprouts begin to follow the person if they're on any non-man-made surface, i.e. nature or anything that is like natural. Then one of the back legs begins to twist awkwardly to where they're facing backwards, then followed by the other leg, and then followed by the spine twisting, causing the neck and head to face more downward. And then with that, the muscles in the face and neck begin to contort and twist to where they resemble the flower. And bouncing off from what I started about the root system concept in Rainbow Dash's section, the infected tend to not be aggressive. Majority of the time, the only time they get more aggressive is when their root system begins to get picked up or destroyed in some cases. They can sense and they feel the sensations of their roots being messed with or their roots being touched, and it tends to bother them greatly. And this would then cause them to be more aggressive overall. But now that we've talked a little bit about the virus, we shall move on to the, quote, mother of the virus, who is considered the root of all evil in this version of Equestria, Twilight Sparkle. Like I said earlier, she is the one who discovers Invasia. Twilight is technically killed in my AU, and that is because as the virus began and she couldn't find a cure fast enough, mass hysteria started to the point where she was getting flack and getting hate from all sides around her, and no one would give her the time to find a cure. And with the history of Equestria overall, it began to have a resentment and fear and hatred build up for unicorns, because when Twilight handled Invasia, she always used her magic and horn. Because of mass hysteria and other well-known ponies in the town, and also well-respected people started to link two and two together with Invasia magic and say, oh, unicorns use their magic to spread Invasia and stuff like that. And so this is why Rarity goes on to cut her horn, because the amount of hatred and fear that is directed towards unicorns because of what happened with Twilight. And of course, Twilight had no ill intentions to do this and start this virus. She had no idea what this thing was, and she more so wanted to study it. And technically, she would be treated a lot like Discord in her late life or her afterlife. The image of her will be besmirched and told she was evil and the root of all evil in Equestria, and like how Discord was spoken about in the original My Little Pony series. I'm going to be getting to a few comments that I really liked. One comment suggested a false horn concept for Rarity or any other unicorn that has chopped off their horn, because unicorns can leave town or hide their horn or cut off their horn in the most extreme cases. Someone suggested a false horn concept to where Rarity can deal with her migraines and her head pain in a more responsible way, to where she doesn't have these extreme headaches, and I thought it was very clever and really cool. It's more so she only does it in the privacy of her room or her home with Applejack. And another comment did ask about the princesses. Right as of now, Celestia and Cadence are the ones hiding, mainly because they had such a personal connection with Twilight that a lot of people believe that they facilitated or encouraged Twilight to do this, when in fact, no, of course not. They were just her mentor and a family friend. Luna is the only princess that is actually respected or not feared or is hated as much, because she had no real personal connection to Twilight. As of now, she's working with Zecora to develop a fear for this and overwatching the mass hysteria to make sure that the citizens are in line and try to bring civilization back to Equestria and have her sister rejoin her at the throne. And that's where we're going to end it. As of now, that is the end of the My Little Pony Infection AU of mine, just, of course, including the main 6. If this is popular enough, or it is by high demand, then I'll do a part 3 covering some of my personal favorite side characters, or even the CMC, because I do have a few ideas for them. And I'm very thankful for everyone who's joining my journey so far, and I hope y'all enjoy my content. If there's anything I can improve on, do let me know, and overall, hope you enjoy my work. And I know it's kind of weird to shift to something so new right after this, because my next video is most likely going to be me talking about my fixation on Koenig from the Call of Duty franchise, which is strange because my first 2 videos on this channel were about My Little Pony. Overall, I don't want to be a type of channel that focuses on redesign or trying to impose my ideas on IPs and things I like. Not shaming channels like that. I enjoy a lot of content based on that. I overall don't want to have it where I begin to look at content I enjoy with a more aggressively writer's eye, where I'm like, I could do that, I could do better than that, mainly because I don't want to dismiss the hard work that every person who wrote that original thing put into it. And I'm trying to figure out a better concept for my channel, and right now I do just want it to be where I'm talking about things I'm passionate about. And specifically about the Koenig thing, it's going to be about how my fixation on him has been both positive and negative for my work, because it's distracted me a lot from working on my art, which is negative, but also has guided me to writing a story that I'm incredibly passionate about, and I may talk about that and see what the reception is, because it is something that I hope to publish one day. And like I said, I hope y'all enjoyed my videos, and you will enjoy my videos in the future, and I wish you all a good night, good day, or afternoon, or whatever, and goodbye.